You are tuned in to the Talk Chicago 1690 AM. I'm your host, Maze Jackson. And y'all know how we do at the top of the hour. Gotta say what's up to the WVON morning show team. What's up to Annette Flournoy in the newsroom, as well as Miss Sonia Escobar. Sitting in with me is Miss Tennille Jackson, Mom Squad, as well as Digital Vision Inc. and the Queen of Wakanda, Miss Amara Inya. Hey y'all. I when I hear of mass shootings, school shootings, shootings, I'm gonna be honest with you, I've become completely numb to it. It's like yesterday, Tennille texted me and said, "Hey, there's a shooter, an active shooter by the office, and this shooting happened Mercy Hospital, literally a block away from our office." And I was like, "No, I'm on the South Side. I'm in Beverly. What are you doing?" And I was like, "Where are you?" And she was like, "I'm in Bolingbrook." And I was like, "Okay. Well, I'm gonna keep on about my business, and people get shot all the time. Chicago. And then I came home. I'm cooking my dinner, and I happen to turn on the TV and the helicopters, and I'm seeing, and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. There was a shooting in a hospital, at Mercy Hospital, and so this story of, now do we have a name on the shooter? I thought there was a name. I felt like it was a Latino name, Juan Lopez or something along those lines. But basically, here's you guys correct me if I'm wrong. The story goes something like this. Apparently, they were Juan Lopez is his name, and his estranged fiance, her name, goodness, I'm sorry, Dr. Tamara O'Neill, were engaged to be married October 28th, 2018 of this year. Apparently, the wedding was called off, and Juan, is that his name?
Yes, Juan Lopez.
Juan Lopez shows up to the hospital where he gets into a verbal altercation with Tamara O'Neill, Dr. O'Neill. Co-worker sees the altercation, tries to intervene. What's his name again?
Juan
Lopez. Pulls out, shows a gun, raises his shirt, shows a gun. The co-worker is like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go tell someone in charge." Apparently, after that, Juan Lopez pulls out the gun, shoots the lady, and according to the descriptions of some of the eyewitnesses, stood over her and pumped 3 more bullets into her to make sure that she was dead. The police arrive. Mr. Lopez heads into the hospital where he kills Officer Sam Jimenez, as well as a pharmacy tech who is there on, what do they call that? When you're a doctor or a residency, a pharmacy residency, and kills her as well. Mr. Lopez is then found dead. We don't know if it was the police or he self-inflicted. Additionally, just so I make sure I get it, there was another police officer who responded, who, when you saw the pictures, he had a bullet in his holster, I believe, and a bullet shot actually in his gun. Now, there's so much in here to unpack. So the first part is I'm nervous about me. Personally, I am nervous that I barely even react to the concept of murder anymore. Like not adverse, what do you call it? I'm agnostic in some cases. When someone says, and if it ain't like 50 people dead, and I don't mean this in a callous, cold way. It means that I'm worried about my psyche when this is just normal now. And it's like, okay, the story is terrible, but there's 4 people, so, So there's that part. There is the domestic issue of intervention. Because as a man, I see a man step into it. And we've had this conversation. There's been so many times when I've seen altercations between a man and a woman and tried to get involved in it and then wind up being the victim. So now you hear a story like this, you see it, and how do you respond? And then I just want to talk about the irony of it all. And I know y'all gonna call it shade. But just think just less than a mile away from where that occurred. President Obama Foundation, talking about making the world better everywhere else. And right here in Chicago, right? From Hydea Pendleton to Laquan McDonald to all of those issues. And all of those things are bombarding me all at the same time.
I think that
What I got?
it's the scary part about it, or the part that, so yesterday as I was coming home, I was driving home from the forum, and actually they had a procession on 94. So I hadn't gotten any updates because the forum was several hours, so didn't know what had transpired since the first news accounts. And so as we were driving home on 94, there was a long procession. That's actually how we found out that the officer had died. So it was a long procession of police cars on the Dan Ryan. I think the scary part about this incident is, for me, is sort of putting myself in her position, putting myself, and I can see myself being in her position. Anyone who's been in a relationship that hasn't worked out, like, that's so scary, because for whatever reason, I mean, because you think if you're in a relationship with someone that you love, you care for, obviously at some point there was some good feelings there.
They had a whole wedding date.
Right, a whole wedding date planned. And so for that to happen, it's like, how can someone predict that kind of behavior when it goes south, right? Now, we won't ever know what red flags or any warning signs may or may not have been there, but it's just the idea of a domestic situation, like the fact that it was a domestic situation that led to her being killed, and then this person going on a rampage to kill other people, that's very, very scary to me.
Yep, very scary, very scary. And you never know. You just don't know. And I think this is the time. And I mean, there's so many learning lessons in this, but it is the speak up, say something. If you feel, sometimes we're embarrassed to say we're in a relationship, we took a wrong turn. And now who do I tell? I think someone's, were there text messages before he got there? Were there warning signs? Do you kind of just go on with your day like, oh, he's just whatever, figure whatever label you want and go on your way, and then this happens.
How do you know, like, when you done linked up with crazy, right? Like, I was just thinking about, like, seriously, how do you know when you have connected with crazy and when it gets to, like, I got so many questions on this. I got so many questions. I got questions on and the other part that I'm going to tell you what's going to be what also is going to happen is that this is going to turn into a police issue, right? Like, I'm just going to tell you, we're going to hear about the woman in the story, but this is going to be a bigger, he fought in the line of duty. I want to talk about this domestic issue. Like, really, how do you deal in these situations? I don't know. And what happens when you don't got a big brother? Right? Because I'm going to tell you, somebody called the house crazy.
Listen here, them phone calls have been made.
And I'm going to tell you, though.
Everyone knows I have a crazy brother.
Hey, man, but you know what? It's like, Somebody got to know you got somebody that'll get crazy with you. Right? You ain't that crazy. You ain't that far gone. Where was her supporting that work? Like, because I'm going to tell you. Let me tell you, it'll be a hunting party tonight. He knew what to do if it was the Jackson household. Well, it ain't gonna be the Jackson household because I spot crazy early. Look, it's Talk Chicago 1690. We'll be back after traffic and the weather. Yeah, YouTube is messing up. All the social medias are messing up today, y'all.
I mean, like, think about it. We're in the online swiping dating world now. So, when I was swiping, I had a system. Like, there was a solid. I had a system. I had rules. I had a whole squad that knew where I was, who he was, who I'm with.
I think that's something you should bring up, though.
Like
the
that
swipe date that you fell in love with, and it's Match.com, and it's like.
Like, when you think about it,